of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call order roll call starting on my right.
Councilperson Brent Byer.
Councilperson Dick Updegraff. Mayor Jimmy John King.
Councilperson Craig Anderson.
Councilperson Jeremiah Olson.
Approval of tonight's agenda. Anything from staff?
Shouldn't be anything additional here.
Anything up here you guys want to change?
Move for approval. Oh, I'll second.
Will
I
you-
can't keep up with Dick.
Yeah. Motion and a second to approve. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? That carries. Approval of council meeting minutes, regular meeting of October 23rd, 2018.
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We've got a second, Jeremiah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. Minutes of special meeting, oh, no, we already did that one, didn't we? No, minutes of special meeting, October 23rd, 2018.
I'll move to approve.
Got a motion to approve, we have a second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carries. Opposed, excuse me, nobody carries. Finance and budget, accounts payable, we got the accounts payable and the additional list in there. Any questions directed to finance director, Laura Newbauer?
If there is, I'm not move approval.
We have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Mary? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Takes us to general business. First item on our general business tonight will be the outdoor application for Winterfest from the Chamber. Megan Roman from the Chamber, Winterfest Chair, will be in attendance to seek permission for Winterfest 2018. It'll be held November 24th through December 2nd. They've been very, very busy putting together many fun events for the community, including silent auctions, book fairs, lady Christmas cruise, cook cocktails, kids craft night, Kiwani Santa pictures, Santa's Winterland at Florence Park, bonfire, chili feed, ugly sweater race again, lighted parade, just for kicks dance show, and fireworks. Ending the weekend will be a Winterfest breakfast and a tea luncheon. They'll be seeking help from Public Works again this year to help prepare Florence Park. Megan, take it from there.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Megan Roman, and on behalf of the Stewartville Chamber, I want to request permission to hold another exciting winter fest for our community the first weekend in December. On Saturday, December 1st, we'll have a fun-filled day for everyone to take part in some Christmas activities. We'll be hosting the Kiwanis Pictures with Santa at the Civic Center in the morning, and then some fun shopping with a book fair at Central Education Center. And then we also have a craft activity in the afternoon, and businesses will be highlighting seasonal sales all week. And then we'll finish up that fun-filled Saturday with activities at Florence Park from 5 to 7, and some fun favorites like the mayor just mentioned, with lights and a parade, and we're excited to see what your parade float has to offer for our parade. We also will have some dancers and fireworks and chili and sweet treats. In addition to the all-day Saturday activities, we'd ask that the Public Works help us to build a bonfire in the gravel parking lot, and let us borrow the no parking signs and barricades to put along Lakeshore Drive. Also, we'd appreciate the council's same participation as the past years in covering the insurance. And then other activities that weekend include our tea and luncheon and breakfast on Sunday. And so everything's coming together really well, and we're hoping the weather cooperates with us. And we hope that you will help us spread some good cheer that next weekend after Thanksgiving. And thank you so much for your continued support of this fun, festive activity for our community.
Any questions for me? No tree lighting this year?
You have my contact for setting up for what exactly you need, where you need it, and stuff like that. I'm sure Melissa will share it with you.
Yes, I do. We decided not to do a tree this year because it was sort of a hassle. I'm sure you guys can attest to last year. So our main event is going to be the bonfire and fireworks
you still wanted to go forward and do a tree, we're not opposed to it, but we were just kind of coming up with a lot of dead ends.
Okay. We'll discuss it and see.
Any other questions for Megan?
I'll move to approve it.
We got a motion to approve, we got a second?
Second.
We got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. Thank you.
Thank you, council.
You got a lot of work ahead of you, you better get going.
What about the rule that you gotta stay for the whole meeting?
Yeah.
Nobody ever gets that, I don't understand it.
Girl, don't be easy. I find my replacement, don't be easy here.
We gotta be here.
Chase you.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Next, under general business, consideration of eminent domain for proposed ROA acquisition, 4th Avenue Southeast, 2019 CIP street utility completion. With the proposed 2019 CIP project being slated for the 3rd Avenue Southeast, 5th Street Southeast, 4th Avenue Southeast neighborhoods, which is proposed to include the construction, replacement, reconstruction of street and sidewalk, utility infrastructure. It's a beneficial opportunity exists to finally complete a connection link of 2 dead-end stubs for this section of 4th Avenue Southeast. The opportunity caused, this opportunity caused the city to provide a fair market purchase price offer, which was personally delivered to Mr. Daniel Ware, presented on September 12th, 2018, for a 66-foot by 66-foot parcel. Or that would be approximately 4,356 square feet of an overall 41,382 square foot parcel of land, which still leaves Mr. Ware with just under 90% of his current acreage that would be undisturbed. To date, no formal written response has been received from Mr. Ware. Since the required response time frame of 60 days will expire by the time of this meeting, the council can now consider proceeding with the eminent domain process for this proposed acquisition. If approved to proceed, this will provide a number of general overall benefits to our city community as follows. It will better facilitate all seasonal street, curb, and gutter, leaf, and snow maintenance, help with infrastructure upgrading, help ease some traffic congestion by Bonner with non-school traffic, more reasonable feasibility for the infrastructure improvements for the south end stub of 4th Avenue Southeast on the other side, on the south side of the Ware property, help provide more adequate fire protection with closer hydrant accessibility, assist with public safety response time accessibility. While Mr. Ware suggested that there is no gain or benefit to him at this time, the city feels he and or his heirs can be benefited by the future development of 2 possible buildable lots proposed to be available, and with All American Co-op possibly being interested in some very west end portion of the property to balance out their land space boundary. According to the appraisal review, the proposed street connection will bring an added value to this property from a future marketing and sales perspective. So tonight, the council action requested will be to either approve or deny proceeding with the eminent domain process for right-of-way acquisition of a portion of 4th Avenue Southeast for the 2019 CIP street utility completion purposes. Bill?
Yep, just to add a couple extra comments. We did have a chance to personally meet with Mr. Ware a couple times, and those meetings did go by cordially. Obviously, this is something that the council and the city takes seriously. We don't very rarely, if ever, have dealt with it, but it was an opportunity, as we pointed out, to connect 2 straight dead ends that just appeared to be, as we went back through all the subdivision records, that a connection should have taken place at some point in time, and it just didn't. With this project now that's coming on, it's just a great opportunity with the mobilization of equipment to do that. This isn't an eminent domain situation if you do decide to go ahead with it, to move him off of a household or a property. As you pointed out, most everything that he's got there, he'll be able to keep and maintain. The other thing we did throw in with a appraised value, a purchase value higher than the appraised value, was that you all did agree to forgive any future assessments with that street going in, which is an added benefit, then the added value of what the lots could end up being. And then we did in our offer also offer to Mr. Ware a chance for him to get his own certified appraisal so that we could, or you could review that, and that was even offered at the city's expense. So I do want the public to know that we really did try hard to make it, I'll just say, appealing from the standpoint of not to take advantage of them. Obviously, we do respect his feelings, and those have been made known, I think, through our local paper and maybe to some of you individually. But and the other thing he asked us to do, and we did do, was look out throughout town if this situation exists anywhere else, and to see if we'd go ahead with it there. Well, as we looked over, both from an aerial picture standpoint and then a subdivision standpoint, there is no other place in town where this kind of weird or abrupt dead end came into being. And so that's the other reason this is looked at as an opportunity to fix it. And then the things we pointed out, not only from a safety standpoint, but just an infrastructure upgrading standpoint, we hope is a good overall benefit for the community. So,
Anyone up here have any added comments or questions or
Bill,
concerns?
if we go with the eminent domain, he's still in negotiation with the $10,000 and stuff, or how does that work?
yeah, I think you will get a chance to meet with the city engineer, city attorney, our staff. We'll be given some guidelines as to what offer you have made has to stand firm, or no, you can pull some of that back, because now we go into a new session basically of negotiations. And if you do have, the way we understand the process, we request a hearing, either before an administrative judge or a mediator or a court-appointed judge, and then both sides present a case to that individual or that team, and then a decision can be rendered from those arguments or that case study. Did that help answer your question? Yeah.
Any other questions or comments?
And it was already agreed upon too, that being that it'd be grandfathered in, that they would be 2 buildable lots, right? Even though they're a little bit more narrow than what would currently be required, correct?
I believe you worked that into your discussion on
Right.
when you were putting together the
Yeah.
offer,
I think so too. I just
that you would give favorable response to that. We did actually formally put that in writing for him, so that has been laid out that you would grant that.
Well, I already made my feelings known at the public forum next to our local paper editor guy with the tough questions, Packer fan. Anyhow, actually, I'm going to make a motion to move forward with it, to acquire the land, and I've been very clear from the start. Eminent domain is it's kind of a cruddy tool. It's not a very comforting feeling for government to force hand to take land, but there has to be, you have to weigh the public good of it against the action taken, I think. And if it wasn't for eminent domain, we'd have highways that curve all over the place and all sorts of unfavorable situations that wouldn't be as good to the community. That's my thought process behind it. I said it to Mr. Ware that night. I don't expect him to be very happy with it, and maybe even some other people being a little upset about it, but I feel there's too much positive at stake for the community here. I look at the aerial maps, and they all already have a street through them, for Pete's sake. You'd never even know there wasn't a street, just because they all assume there's a street. Hearing the story of the public safety going to the wrong side during an emergency, I deal with that being a cop, and that's awful. I mean, you have to go back out and around. A minute could make a huge difference. Obviously, where they're just the facts of having to back delivery trucks and snow plows back out of there. I don't know how you guys have done it for all these years. I feel that this is definitely the best thing for the community.
Any other comments? I have to agree with Craig on that, plus I'll add it, every 50 years or so you should look at your city again and see what corrections need to be made. A lot of things have changed up in that part of town in 50 years as far as growth to the south and things like that, when this was kind of coming together 50 years ago. So it's a perfect opportunity for us, as the rest of the community, like Craig said, to make this connection now. It'll be a real savings for the rest of the taxpayers also. I'm really proud of this council for the way they have thought about this and looked at it. There's no malice or meanness intended here. They're all looking at it as a way to correct a problem that needs to be corrected. it's, like Craig said, unfortunately, we have to go to this length to do it. But we gave Mr. Ware every opportunity to respond with something else too, so. We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any other comments or questions or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It carries. That'll take us on to Public Works, approval of a new Maintenance 1 worker. Personnel Committee is recommending approval of Jason Welter with start date of December 3rd to the Maintenance 1 position. Council action requested is to approve the recommendation to hire Jason Welter. Questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. Public Works Department, next item.
Excuse me.
We didn't have a motion.
Oh,
Yeah, I got it.
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
I just started thinking of that too, like, wow, we moved really fast.
I thought he made the motion.
They just made it up.
I'll make a motion.
All right,
And then Jeremy.
all right, now we got a motion, now we got approval.
Yeah, the second from Jeremiah.
Yep.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I hope nobody changed their vote. Opposed? Carries. Public Works Department, approval of snow hauling contract. City of Stewartville has advertised snow hauling bids for the 2018-19 snow season. We have received 2 bids back and are recommending Yagi Truck Service. The 2 bids were Yagi $77, Bruce Bucknell $85. Council action requested is to award the snow hauling contract to Yagi Truck Service. Questions? Motions?
I'll make a motion to approve. I'll second it.
We should do it twice because I missed it last time. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Next, Public Works again. Each year, the city hires additional snowplow drivers to use on an as-needed basis. We have advertised for the part-time seasonal position and received 3 applications. Public Works Director Hales recommending approval of Andrew McMahon, Scott Emanuel, and Mark McDermott to fill in as needed. Council action requested is to approve the hiring of Andrew, Scott, and Mark for the 2018-19 snow season, subject to drug and alcohol testing. Motion?
Move to approve.
Second? Got a second from Dick. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That also carries. That takes us to mayor, staff, and consultant reports. Tonight, the mayor's report. The city of Stewartville would like to send their sympathies out to the families of Roger Nicholson, Father Richard Ingalls, Carrie Combs, Pastor Paul Bittner, Ernest Betke, Robert Buck Buchanan, and Lucille Laughlin. And we want to send our congratulations to Nathan Edholm on his Eagle Scout Award this year. Stewartville Drama Department will be presenting Hello Dolly on November 16th to 18th at the PAC Center. Don't forget about St. John's We Care. Will be holding their annual one-stop Christmas shop on November 16th and 17th. And it's also time to register for the 8th annual Thanksgiving Day 5K Walk Run, sponsored out here by Grace Church. And here's another deadline coming right up. Order your Christmas cookies from the Center for Adaptive Adults. The deadline is December 2nd. Right around the corner. That's all I've got for tonight. City Administrator's report.
The report's in your packet, and basically this week, just to let you know of a kind of a whole bunch of meetings coming up with regard to our truth and taxation hearing, and then Chamber is going to host another joint meeting with the school district and the city of Racine. So just be aware of those dates, and we'll be in good shape.
Any questions?
Joint one's the 3rd, and then truth and taxation, of course, is December 4th. And then we'll only have the one meeting unless some emergency arises in December. So, regular meeting.
Yeah. Be special,
Any other questions for the Administrator? All right, thank you, Bill. I'll take us to Finance Director's report. Barb?
Bill just reminded you of the truth and taxation for the 2019 budget and the effect it will have on property taxes on December 4th, 7 o'clock.
All right.
No, that's okay.
Is that it for you, Barb? Yep, Bill?
Also attached under my report is just the certification of the election. If you saw that report, do you want a motion on that? Or just gives you the formal results.
We don't vote on that tonight, do we?
No, we don't have to certify it, no. It's a change in law.
Oh, we don't have to serve that anymore? You dick, you're now certifiable. That should be good.
No, I just,
All right, Barb, are you done with your report then?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You want us to read the report? So the public knows? Would the
No.
public like to know what the report says?
no.
Okay, they don't wanna know. Public Works Director, Sean?
Just one highlight, and I have it in the report, but leaf pickup, we was decided that they're going to, last Sunday or Monday was the last day that residents should get raked out. Once we go past your house now, we are done. We won't be by again, so anything they'd raked out over the weekend will get picked up, but if you see us go by, we're done. So, just if you get comments or concerns about it.
You get that on Facebook too.
Yep.
I think, Sean, I had a call today, and so I told them that, and they're like, well, I'm working, how do I know if you went by my house? So maybe at the end of the day, can you just call and let us know, so, and we get the calls, we'll say, nope, southeast is done?
We can do our best.
Okay.
So,
All right. Any questions for Public
I
Works?
know he was working northeast today.
Okay. Just so we kind of have an idea. Because
He had concerns whether he would even get over the entire town this week, because the leaves are frozen or wet, so they're not sucking very well. So he may be into next week also. If you get him out there during this week before he gets there, that's fine, but once he's gone past and had that street cleaned, he will not be back.
Well, they can be taken out to the solid waste.
Yeah, they can still haul them off to the dump.
Oh, yeah, because that's open 24/7.
All right. Any other questions for Sean? All right, thanks, Sean. You got your wastewater report in there, city engineers report. Jenna, what do you got for us?
The report's in your packet. For next year's CIP, we do need to set up a meeting to meet with the residents in December to go through what's being proposed. That's a change in our previous process to get input prior to approving the plans and getting more detail on the plans from the residents. So we'll need to set that up. And there's also a few things to go through about possibility of changing some of our contract language for next year's project and maybe look into the way we bid things. So those are two meetings we need to get set, but
All right.
I'll let staff work with you guys.
All
Otherwise, any questions?
None from me, any from anybody else up here? All right, thank you, Jenna. No library director tonight. Fire chief's report. Assistant chief's report tonight.
Chief gave me a long list here,
All
so
right.
just really 2 items. We're still working on presentation for the aerial truck. I don't know exactly when he said that would be due, but so it's an ongoing process there. And then we're also still working on our training schedule to try and get that done. First part of December, we set that for like the upcoming year, so we don't quite have that formalized yet, but that's all we got.
That's about it?
That's it.
Oh, that's a good report. Nice report, thanks. Any questions for Assistant Chief? That's a long list, yeah. All right, thank you. That'll take us to Committee, Commission, Board reports. Chamber of Commerce. We've got their e-letter in there, and they've got a lot of stuff going on here. So anybody wants, should go look it up on their website. Same list we got here. EDA HRA.
Meeting next week.
Meeting next week, and you've got a copy of the Southeast Minnesota Regional Economic Study in there to peruse too.
Yep, that's a big one. All of us cities here in southeast Minnesota sent in resolutions, and it ended up being a state grant, legislative grant, and so that study is now done. The full copy is about 109 pages, I believe. So we can make a copy available at the library or here if need be, but it is available online, so we'd encourage folks to go through it. And what we did is provide a summary for you all to highlight the high points of it and kind of a goal for the future and what things will be getting looked at here in southeast Minnesota.
Some interesting facts in there. Peruse through it if you get the chance. Finance? We got anything coming up?
I am going to ask to have a meeting probably the last Wednesday of November, and we're going to have a joint personnel and finance.
Didn't you, yeah, you already
I
emailed
already-
on that and I
I
responded
had,
to it already.
yeah, I had emailed both of you, but just a reminder.
All right. Library,
Next Tuesday.
Park Board,
Next Monday.
Personnel. and then
We'll do that
finance.
joint, yeah.
Planning and zoning,
Nothing.
nothing coming up.
Nothing up.
Public safety,
Mike had wanted to be here, but he must have got called away or something.
he's out keeping the public safe.
Safe.
Public works,
Nothing.
roll call.
No report?
Transit advisory committee, no
They,
report.
no, and they will be meeting, and I've already visited with Dan at the end of the month,
All right.
so.
Communications tonight, we got an SEMLM minutes of July 31st and an invite from Olmsted County for a forum. But we have truth and taxation that night.
That same night, so I did send a response back to the county administration saying we'll be tied up, but to keep us on the mailing list or to let us know of minutes from the meeting,
Same thing.
to keep you up to speed on what got discussed.
All right. That takes us to our open mic. Open mic policy. The city welcomes and encourages participation from community members. Please keep in mind that your comments must be pertinent to city business and must adhere to the data privacy rules. No employee's name may be used. Please do not expect any action from the council this evening regarding your concerns. We also request that your comments be limited to 4 minutes. Speakers will be recognized only once. At this time, we would ask that anyone who would like to address the city council to please step up to the podium and state your name and address, please. You don't run until the last meeting. You said to run down. No one else, then we'll look for the final motion of the evening.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We
I'll
have
let you do it in the last meeting.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We're adjourned.